Welcome to our channel, the fastest, most complete and most dramatic update of the unexpected developments from the movie Beyond the Gates. Be prepared, because what is about to happen in this story will make you unable to take your eyes off. Big secrets are exposed, trust is broken, and the truth that has been hidden for many years finally rises, breaking all relationships that seem to be stable. In this special episode, the person who has been silent for too long, Bill, suddenly becomes the one who deals a fatal blow to the moral mask that Martin has worked so hard to cover up. And the first direct victim of that terrible shock is Smitty, the person who has always stood by Martin, always believed in the person that she now realizes is just a calculating illusion. Everything begins when Bill realizes that there is not enough time to wait for a natural truth to be revealed. He had seen too much, kept silent for too long, and carried a heavy burden in his heart, a burden that was eating away at his conscience every day. Bill was not one to meddle in other people's lives, but this time he could no longer ignore it. He could not let Smitty continue to be deceived, to be drawn deeper into the circle of lies and manipulation that Martin had so skillfully built. It was not just his or their story, it was a fuse capable of shaking the entire network of relationships that were being built on falsehood and exploited trust. Martin had long been a name mentioned with respect in the community. An intelligent, mature man, who knew how to behave and especially always brought a sense of security to those around him. But few people knew what was behind that perfect shell. Bill knew. And what he knew had haunted him for years. It wasn't suspicion, it was the truth. The truth of a staged death. A false identity. A sin that had never been atoned for. Martin wasn't the victim he'd portrayed himself to be, but the perpetrator behind a series of horrific events. Bill had tried to forget. He'd thought he could bury the past, let Martin start a new life if he truly repented. But Bill was wrong. Martin didn't change. The shady behavior continued. The small signs adding up to big warnings. And when Bill discovered that Martin had manipulated Smitty's recent decisions, using her trust for his own gain, he knew it was time to reveal the truth. Smitty wasn't prepared for it. She was moving further and further in her working relationship and trust with Martin. She thought she had found a trustworthy companion, a true friend, a moral guide. But everything collapsed in an instant when Bill placed before her a thick file, filled with undeniable evidence. There were forged legal papers, altered statements, replaced medical records. And most importantly, evidence of another name, another identity that once belonged to Martin. No one suspected that the seemingly kind man had been wanted for manslaughter. Had fled the scene of the incident and disappeared for years before returning to a completely new life. Smitty's eyes as she read the documents shifted from surprise to bewilderment. Then to absolute horror. A whirlwind of emotions exploded inside her. She felt betrayed, humiliated, and most of all, stupid for trusting him so blindly. All those years of promises, of sharing, of Martin's attempts to understand her best, turned out to be an act. A perfect performance, performed flawlessly. She no longer knew who she was in this game, and who Martin really was. From that moment on, a series of dominoes began to fall. Smitty could no longer keep the secret. She couldn't live if she let others fall victim to her. She began to spread the truth, sharing evidence with those close to her. Each person who learned the truth had more reason to doubt Martin's past actions. The community began to stir. The gossip was no longer a whisper in the dark but gradually turned into public attacks. Those who were helped by Martin now look back and discover that those favors came with costs they never knew. Martin, upon hearing the news, tried to take control of the situation. He denied, explained, tried to convince everyone that it was just a misunderstanding, a plot to bring him down. But this time no one believed him anymore. The evidence was too clear. His lies began to contradict each other. The most loyal people turned their backs. And most importantly, Martin knew that Bill would not stop. He was no longer the old man hiding in the shadows, but the torchbearer, paving the way for the truth. Under pressure from the community and the media, Martin was forced to appear before the Internal Investigation Board. He appeared as calm as ever, but his eyes could not hide his anxiety. Smitty sat opposite, not crying, not screaming, just silently looking at him with empty eyes. And as each piece of evidence was presented, each detail was analyzed, Martin gradually lost control. He began to react violently, to blame, to repeat the same things he had criticized others for. The mask finally fell off. Bill was not present at the hearing. He did not need to be. He had done his part, he had freed the truth from its silent grave. And now he left Martin to face the consequences. No more arguing about who was right or wrong. They just looked at each other silently and wondered, how could we not have seen it sooner? Martin was suspended from all his positions, placed under criminal investigation, and faced possible prosecution for past crimes. His life, from the pinnacle of fame, had now plummeted into a bottomless pit. Smitty, though in pain, was slowly finding peace in the truth. She was no longer a victim, she was a survivor. And Bill, who had been silent all his life, now finds the peace he thought he would never have. The drama doesn't stop there. Several other characters who were involved in Martin's past incident begin to appear. Old witnesses, who were once threatened into silence, are now approached thanks to Bill's information. The old case that was thought to be closed begins to be reinvestigated. The missing pieces gradually come to light. And the death from years ago, thought to be an accident, is now placed under the light of crime. The truth is a knife. It cuts through all illusions, but also opens a way out for those brave enough to face it. Bill is the first to pull the knife out of its sheath, knowing that his hand will bleed. But thanks to him, everything is finally revealed. Keep following our channel so you don't miss the next shocking episodes of Beyond the Gates. Don't forget to subscribe and follow to stay updated with the most exciting stories. Where every secret has a price, and every character has a past that cannot be buried.